First step is to get this vertebra. Now I've labeled this group vertebra. I'm going to change that so I don't get confused and call it T8, which is the vertebra we use as our reference. So the question is, I want to duplicate this and I want to move it up or superiorly to give me essentially an articulating vertebra T7. So I'm going to look into the anatomy references tab here, and I'm going to go down to where it says skeleton and look for the one that says human vertebra dimensions. So this is the chart we were using earlier, and like I said, there's T8 and we were using 20 as the anterior dimension height, if you will, of the vertebra body. And with that vertebra body, the average disc height, this is the inner disc height, is 4.9 at T8. So I'm going to round that up to 5 and use that to calculate how to do this. So first thing I want to make sure is I want to make sure that I've deleted my history. I want to make sure that I modify freeze transformations, and then I want to also make sure, in this case especially, that the pivot point is centered. Now when I hit W to move it, I now have my pivot point here, and using my chart I'm saying, okay, the height is 20, and then I need an additional 5 millimeters essentially to create the distance for the disc. So I'm going to go under Edit, Duplicate Special, get the options, and I've already preset it here to 25 in the y-axis. So I'm going to move 20 units up, 20 millimeters up for the body, an additional 5 to accommodate the disc. And I'm only going to make one copy just because I want to see if this works. And if I say apply, I now have it. Okay, so that's the right distance, but my articulating surfaces, this is the inferior articulating surface of, let's call this what it should be called, not T9 but T7. So that's the inferior articulating process of T7. This is the superior articulating process of T8. So I need these two to be interlocked with this much space in between the bodies. So I've done some experimentation and I know what that value is. I scale these up till I got them close, looking at that and saying, okay, that's about, and I got this distance, and what it finally boiled down to is I needed them to be scaled 1.25 in the y direction. So I'm going to drag a box. Now that should get me these articulating processes on both sides. And if I wanted to, I could hold the shift key down and drag a box for the top pair as well. So now all 4 processes are selected. I'm going to go into the scale Y and I'm going to type 1.25 and hit enter. And now I've got the articulating processes meeting one another or interlocking with one another. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's very close, and it's good enough for the schematic. Now again, I want to emphasize that that number is trial and error. I did some hand scaling until I came close and then realized that this was about the correct value.